I know you haven't had the pads on yet, but you get a sense that this is a different group you're working with than that first scrimmage when you came in here and you were wondering what was.
Yeah, no doubt. Just having the time over the summer to really work on fundamentals and slow down and get the fundamentals down and the scheme and not being so pressed as you are in spring ball because you're 15 days and you're 15 days, but you're working 3 different install days the whole time, so you don't get a whole lot of time to spend on any of that stuff. But I feel much better about my group up front, feel much better about their togetherness. They're a really fun group to coach. They really like each other. They're going to play hard for each other. We're really talented in a couple spots. I just got to fill in those other spots. I think it's there. It's just one of those things where we got to keep pushing. And I got to see what we're going to do in adverse situations. O-line, you're only as good as your worst player. And I tell my guys all the time, it ain't about how your great plays. It's about your bad plays not being terrible. Because if you can go out there and you can be good, and then your bad plays be just then you're going to have a successful group. But that's what we're working on, is keeping our bad plays from being 5-yard losses and sacks and sack fumbles and things like that.
When you got 2 really good guys, do you like to have them together, or do you want them spread out, or how does that? What's your philosophy?
Well, you want the ability to do both. And that's the good thing about both those guys is McKivitz played a bunch of right and Sills has played a bunch of left. So if we want to move them around, we can move them around for short yardage situations and stuff like that. So, but you don't always want them right there beside each other. They have different strengths. You know what I mean? They have different strengths. I mean, Mike Brown at the left guard spot's as good a run blocker as Sills is. So, there's no reason to bump him around too much. As long as as long as he continues to get himself in shape and learn the offense.
I was going to ask you, can Brown play 50 or 60 plays yet?
Yeah, that's we got to develop a guy behind him that can come in and help him, because I don't. It's not that he can't do it. It's just I'm afraid he loses his focus when he gets really, really tired. And he's worked really hard. I mean, the kid didn't play at all last year, was injured, and has never played. Never played high school ball, so he hadn't played a whole lot of football. So you're dealing with a kid who's basically played just spring ball in this. And, but he's really developing well. He's working really hard. He's a hard-working kid. So I look forward to him being a good player there.
Colton mentioned helping teach the guys over the summer, he and Josh doing that. Did you see progress from the other people? Does some of these improvements you think came from summer work?
Yeah, no doubt. Like Colton is a really reserved kid, really reserved guy. He's a really hard worker. He's kind of the guy that sets the tone by how hard he works, what he does instead of what he says. And we've worked really hard since we've been here about getting him to develop to be more vocal. And he's done a good job. Like, we have the player practices where they go out there and they coach them and they teach them. And when you got 2 guys like that, I've been in places before where you don't really have any true leadership, and those player practices are not very good. But here, he having those 2 dudes have been really good, and also Wickline. I mean, he's a kid that's grown up around football his whole life. You got those 3 guys out there running a player-led practice, and you got 3 guys that know what they're doing, and everybody listens to them. But, yeah, I can see, those guys have done a really good job of bringing the whole group together.
The development behind Brown, how's that going? And sort of piggybacking on that, Hughes, it looks like he's mixing in with the 2s.
Yeah, Gamitter, to be a kid, he's one of the most explosive, strongest guys in the program in the weight room, but he's always been a D lineman. He played a little bit of O-line in high school, but it wasn't real, it wasn't like the true, dedicated O-line, because he's had to play both ways and all that stuff. So this is really his first, he's just now going into practice number, 17 of ever being an O-lineman. And he's really come along. He's had a really good summer. Like I said, his strength and his ability is no doubt. It's just learning to play, O-line with your feet wide and instead of putting your feet together and just running like a D lineman is a bit of a struggle. But I can already tell now, even though we haven't got pads on, he is starting to feel the position and what to do, and he really wants to do it. And he's the guy I'm trying to develop, to maybe split those reps with Mike to get us through a game. So he's done real well. And, John Hughes, I think, was a really good get for us. He can play the tackle spot. He can play the guard spot. He's athletic. He's got his pass set looks really good. Of course, we hadn't put on pads yet, and he's a guy that's hadn't had the full off year of training, like everybody else. So physically, I don't know if he's going to be as strong as what we want him to be. I know he's not going to be as strong as what we want him to be, but is he going to be strong enough to get the job done? We'll find out. He's definitely athletic enough.
Matt, offensive scheme-wise, how much change is there from the spring where you saw, all right, we're just not going to be very good at this, toss this, add this. Is there a lot of that or not much of that?
It was more about not saying we're not going to be. There wasn't a whole lot of not saying we're not going to be good at this. We saw some things we thought we were a little better at than what we thought we were going to be. Some run schemes, we're like, hey, because it's all about our backs on the offense. I mean, what are they good at? What are these dudes? Because we got some really good dudes in that room. What are they most comfortable with? They're like outside runs? Are they more of inside run? Are they, what do they like to do? So we're going to develop the offensive line a lot around what those guys are really good at. But yeah, there was some more of like, hey, let's concentrate a little bit more on this than maybe what we've done in the past. So there was some of that, but we really didn't just trash anything. We may have come up with a couple schemes that we're going to try this fall to say, hey, do these fit us, whether we want to use them or not. But normally we'll go into a game with no more than 5 run schemes. So we really narrow things down when it comes to game planning.
Yesterday, Neil said coming out of spring, receiver was a spot that was particularly thin depth-wise. You guys have added some players. Where are you at with that group?
I really feel good about the energy we've brought in. George has come in, he's brought in great energy. He's, that room I can see has definitely gotten better. And they've added to the size of the room. I mean, the speed of the room is good. There's a couple guys that can really run, but when you look at the overall size of that room, I mean, we've got some guys that are, 6'3" plus. There's a lot of those guys. And, you got to be able to go up and win the 50-50 balls with those guys. So I feel like that room's much better. And, of course, just understanding the signals and the formations and the alignments. I mean, there's a lot more to it than just like getting a huddle, calling a play. I mean, you got so many signals, you got different tempos, there's so many things that you just can't teach over 15 days, and get good at, what I mean? So a lot of times in spring, we look like we're just mass confusion, and it's looked a lot better these past couple of days of lining up in formations and personnels and things like that.
Hey, Matt, you have all these marquee positions on offense, skill guys, right? But you all have used that S-back effectively in the past, and it seems like you have some bodies here, and maybe more in the spring too.
Yeah, we do, and we've added one with Jack Knipper. We've added a transfer, and he adds probably a little bit more athleticism to the room. And that room that position is like that. Third and short, fourth and short. When you got to have it. That guy that you slip out of the backfield in key situations, when goal line, when nobody thinks you haven't thrown it to him all year and all of a sudden he wins a big game for you. That's what that room's all about. And it's really like an extension of the offensive line. It's kids that are there. They're physical and they do everything right and they do everything right in the weight room, do everything right in the classroom, and they're just dependable people. So looking forward to that room progressing with the guys we got in there plus that addition.
Now, can you go back a little bit and expound upon the idea of that with an offensive lineman, it's not the best play, but that's important, but the worst play, and how you get that across the kids? And
I just talked to him about being consistent. Being a great old lineman is about really being an excellent old lineman. It's about mundane. It's just boring. You look at some of the greatest old linemen that play, it's boring because they just always take the same steps, same footwork, same pad level, everything's the same. And that's what, if I talk to my guys all the time, it's not about how good your grade is or how great your grade is. It's about how bad is your worst going to be below par. And if your worst is not that bad and your good's not great, you can still be a consistent old lineman in this league. So that's what I just preach to them about. Hey, if you have a bad day, make sure it's not a terrible day. If you have a bad play, make sure it's not a terrible play. If you go the wrong way, don't completely whiff the guy and let him get a sack. Go the wrong way, fit on the guy, at least block the guy that you're going the wrong way. I'm just, over and over about being consistent. That's what we talk about all the time is consistency.
Matt, we saw some tempo today. How many different tempo speeds do you guys run? Do you have?
Well, basically, sometimes and it's really hard in this league. A lot of people do a really good job with tempo, and it's so hard to see on film because their video department does such a great job of cutting the play to right before the plays run, so you can't really tell. You have to look at some key things like where's the official. If he's backing his butt up in the ball snap, they're playing fast, right? So we've got some stuff where we want to always give the illusion that we're playing fast, and that sometimes we play fast, sometimes we get lined up fast, and we don't play fast. So that's really what we try to do, where it used to be just as fast as you could go all the time. It's hard to do that with the formations and motions that we're doing now, but we're still trying to give the illusion like, hey, we could snap it fast on you. And most defensive coaches, if you got the ability to snap it fast, they're going to get lined up fast.
I know it's still guys in shorts, but Sean Ryan looks like a playmaker. How much are you crossing your fingers you'll be able to use him?
You're right. I saw the same thing you did, but until till we hear the news, I'm just going to, hope and wish.
Anybody change their bodies? I know they talked about Bryce Wheaton being a guy. Is there anybody else that's caught your eye?
Bryson Mays has done a really good job from the spring. I think his bench went up like 40 pounds or something like that. And he was always a really athletic kid. He just didn't have the pure strength up top. But I think it's going to be interesting to see what he does when we come out with pads on. I think Colton McKivitz has really changed his body. He's a lot thicker than he was. He's a lot stronger. I mean, the best decision he made was, right after Coach Brown got the job and he decided he was going to stay here. That's the best decision he's made. But he had a really good offseason. Seals had a really good offseason. He's trimmed down a little bit. I mean, you probably won't tell by looking at him, but he has. He's upped his cardiovascular. Wickline's put on. He's put on some weight and he's held it. He's always been a thin guy, but he's over 300 and he's holding it strong and had a really good offseason. So I'm looking forward to those guys to see what they do when the pads are on.
You may not have a bunch of guys, but you got 2 possible NFL guys.
I do.
And so there's a good thing to build around right
yes, I promise you, I've coached with a lot worse. I've coached with a lot worse guys, but yeah, I feel we just got to develop some depth. We got to have some young kids. We got 2 true freshmen that have a lot of talent. With Yates and Moore, both those kids are showing. Yates just got here, but he's a really good-looking dude and he's athletic, and he's really far behind just because it took him a while to get all his eligibility worked out. But both of those guys are young guys that are going to be really good players.
Talking to somebody that knows football, it said usually a good offensive line, you have to have somebody that you don't know about develop. Do you buy that? That somebody's got to emerge to have a good offensive line?
Yeah, we need Mike Brown to be that guy. We need Wickline to be that guy, and we need Chase to be that guy. We need those 3 guys to step up and go, woo. One of those 3 guys need to be great, and the other 2 need to be good. Because they're all 3 completely unproven. So we got to have one of those guys that's got to really step up.
Yates, Moore down the road. There's guards, tackles, maybe both.
Tackles, both of those. Well, Moore, I got him playing right guard, and Yates playing left tackle. And he's a long way off, but just looking at him, watching him move, it's like, yeah, that kid's got a chance. He's going to, if we can get both those kids by game 4, they're able to play in their 4 games. And I just see it down the road, down in the future, of having a chance of having some good depth, some really good young players.
Beaver inside, outside?
Beaver's playing guard. He's playing guard. He's still a ways away, but he's playing guard.
Who's your second most reliable snapper right now?
I would say Stilley's probably my second most reliable snapper, and it's going to be interesting to see what Bryson does. But Stilley's, as far as knowing what to do, how to do it, all that stuff. I mean, he's got the same issue I had when I was in college, just missing about 6 inches. He's just not real tall, but I mean he's a good player, and I wouldn't hesitate to put him in a game. I mean he's gonna know what to do, how to do it. He's gonna get a good snap back there, and he's just got to continue. He's still a young player too, a redshirt freshman, so he's still got a lot of time to develop his body.